Student team pick.
Alright, folks, here we are back at the Chicago Dota 2 Open, sponsored by SteelSeries and Merlini Dota, and of course held at the Ignite Gaming Lounge. You can check them out, ignitegl.com. And we've been going for a little bit more than half a day here. We're heading into the losers bracket final. This is, of course, a best of one. This was a double elimination, one day best of one bracket with a best of three, with potentially another best of one to determine the winner of the grand finals. Please Gank Shibby, a team that's beaten both Altered State and Ice Cream City, awaits them at the end of this little yellow brick road. But first we have to see which of these two teams can take the losers bracket victory. Altered State just getting sent down, Ice Cream City getting sent down a little earlier, but both of them have made it through the losers bracket. In fact, we could take a quick look at the... We'll talk about this Warlock, don't worry, but let's go to the brackets real quick once again. So, we do have... sorry about that. We've got the bracket here. This is the losers bracket final. Let's take a look at Altered State's path. They began with a game that we observed on the stream against 2HU, where they won with a Merlini-esque and MYM-esque strategy of just the pure global potential. Warlock, they had, Ancient Apparition, Spectre, Nature's Prophet, Zeus, the works. They won that. They defeated Ignition in the winners bracket round 2. Then they just fell. That was the last game we saw against Please Gank Shibby, and here they find themselves in the losers bracket. Ice Cream City has a bit of a longer road. They beat Dota 2 in the first round, then lost to Please Gank Shibby in the second. We didn't see either of those games, or actually, we saw the Please Gank Shibby game, actually. They got a little bit out of farm. They had the Weaver carry, couldn't get him any farm, and PGS eventually rolled with a 15-1 Magnus. Then they defeated 2HU and What's the Roche time in the losers bracket. So I didn't get to see either of those games, but well played to them. And here they are, Ice Cream City in the losers bracket final, having a little bit of a longer road than Altered State, but nonetheless ready to play. Back to the game. So let's take a look at where we're at here. We have basically in the second, about to go into the second pick phase. Of course, now you have 2 picks in the first phase for each team. Then you head into that second phase. And Clockwork and Gyrocopter secured up for Ice Cream City. This gives them one of the best offlaners, as well as one of the most fantastic carries. Gyrocopter, of course, taking a bit of a nerf to the face with the Flak Cannon cooldown increased by 10 seconds, but it has not put a dent in pro teams' love of him. Lots and lots of people still running that Gyrocopter to deliver that insane amount of late game damage, as well as have some early game magic damage potential, and securing up the Shadow Demon as well. So that forestalls, or at least puts a crimp in a bunch of carry options that Altered State may have. Altered State, meanwhile, taking out the Nyx Assassin, Lone Druid, Magnus Bane, all very classic bans. Bane ban, of course, especially great if you're planning to have one big hard carry, because Bane is one of the best responses to one big carry, and so that won't be available for Ice Cream City as another support to pair up with the Shadow Demon. What Altered State did do is take a very early Warlock, so it remains to be seen whether they go for the Please Gank Shibby-esque support Warlock, which I would be somewhat surprised by, or if they do put up this Warlock right in that mid lane. Of course, ICC, they don't really have a mid lane to go up against him just yet, so Warlock may indeed be safe to just dominate the mid lane, get a quick Aghanim Scepter, and really just do a lot of work in that respect. They are taking quite a bit of time to pick up their third hero, though, digging a little bit into the bonus time, maybe trying to figure out how they want to develop this out, how they want to finish out this lineup, or at least where they want to take it in the second pick phase. They take the Weaver, so Weaver, a hero we saw piloted a couple times in this tournament already. Sometimes you have a little trouble getting that early farm, and you can fall behind on the Weaver. Always very, very problematic when you can't get enough farm to actually get the Weaver rolling and do a lot of damage to the opposing team. The other thing he doesn't really do is push, but he has great single target damage, amazing chasing capability, and he can be extremely hard to kill with the right level of execution.
10 seconds remaining.
Excuse me. And of course, I'm going to have to check real quick at some point. If I get quiet for a bit, folks, it's just because I still have to enter in the overlays that I was missing out on earlier. I screwed up a little bit, or rather we had a stream reset recently. We lost connection to the internet for a little bit, so I lost some of my overlays and stuff, but I'll put that back in as needed. Luna picked up for Ice Cream City, so here we go. Now they have a carry that can provide quite a lot of AoE damage. She can hit your entire team. Even when she's focusing, say, the Golem generated by the Warlock Chaotic Offering, she can still hit the rest of your team. Altered State, meanwhile, with the Dragon Knight, and so this provides a tri-core lineup, fairly greedy in the sense that Your Weaver and Dragon Knight definitely need farm, and even if you do run that Warlock as a support, you probably still want to get him a little bit of gold if you can, just to get him towards that great Aghanim Scepter, which is just tremendously effective on Warlock. So at least 2 heroes and quite possibly 3, all of whom want to farm. One possible lane arrangement for this would be to put the Dragon Knight in the middle, have him bottle crowed. Of course, bottle crowing was reduced in effectiveness, but we still see Dragon Knights midding with that all the time. I believe Dignitas game earlier today in DreamHack did have that. And Weaver probably could go into a solo hard lane, or he could even go as part of a trial. Sorry, they could have the Weaver as part of an aggressive trial and the Warlock solo safe. They could have the Warlock mid, the Dragon Knight as part of a trial lane, and the Weaver solo hard. We've seen Dragon Knight safe lane trial lane a little bit more often recently. Evil Geniuses has started running it with a Midas. And so it's still an option. They still have a ton of lanes that they could plausibly run with this lineup. Or the aggressive trial lane with the Weaver Dragon Knight solo safe or something. There's a lot of options that don't rely on them having to do the Warlock support. But honestly, maybe I underrated Warlock support. It certainly worked extremely well for Please Gank Shiba in a previous game in this tournament. So perhaps it's just I'm overthinking it and it's going to just be the tri lane. They're still going to go for an offlaner and just have the Dragon Knight. Nature's Prophet is available. We've seen mixed results of using the Nature's Prophet in this tournament, but he's still a very popular hero. Ice Cream City, meanwhile, finishes out their lineup with that big stun combo of the Leshrac was banned, we'll take the Lina. Shadow Demon sets up that Light Strike Array disruption into the LSA, into maybe a Lucent Beam and a couple hits from Luna, and you're in a lot of danger if that's the trial lane that you're facing. Alternatively, disruption into Light Strike Array, Gyrocopter has all the time in the world to run up to you, land his Rocket Barrage, and you're dead. Quite possibly we could see something like Luna solo safe, Gyrocopter, Lina, Shadow Demon, aggressive tri lane, Clockwork mid. Alternately, we've seen Luna mid more lately, especially against mids like Dragon Knight who aren't that able to kill her. You can put the Luna mid, you can put the Gyro, Shadow Demon, Lina, tri-lane, and Clockwork either in the safe lane or the hard lane. This is kind of cool. I mean, we're theory crafting out all these possible lanes, and both teams just not that defined as how much they want to, how they actually want to lane. Which makes it difficult to make these last picks, right? Especially if you're Altered State right now. It's like, well, what is the right pick? Do we take another support for a stronger tri-lane? Do we take a mid and just put Weaver in the off and Dragon Knight in a tri-lane? It's very tough to decide, and they'll have to think what is actually going to fit into this lineup the best. It was interesting that they banned Alchemist, by the way. Alright, so it's Sand King. This is a hero that's been gaining a bit of popularity recently. There were some Southeast Asian teams that never gave up lighting a torch for Sand King, some teams that never stopped playing him. They always played their Sand King. And now we've seen it make a little bit of a resurgence, frankly. Mouse Sports has started playing Sand King quite a bit. We've seen it, a couple other teams playing with it. And the thing is, Sand King has just tremendous ability to change a game. If he hits his 6, especially if it's 6 and Blink Dagger, Sand King can just totally take apart a game. He can just do tremendous amounts of work. You've got, I mean, just think about the idea of Fatal Bonds being up on a team. The Chaotic Offering comes down, and then also the Epicenter comes through. You can wipe the entirety of Ice Cream City out with one fell swoop if you land that combo. The only question is, can V-Carps find the XP? And so let's introduce the teams for this losers bracket final of the Dota 2 Chicago Dota 2 Open. Tri-lane will be composed of Cian on the Dragon Knight for Altered State, Novocaine on the Rubik, actually switching roles because he's been playing the offlane earlier today, and V-Carbs on the Sand King. That leaves Avukamu in the middle as the Warlock. Actually, maybe they'll run the, could be Rubik mid, I don't know, we'll see. And I'm Famous on that Weaver, most likely in the... Well, this is interesting, because these seem to reflect different lineups than I thought I had in mind. But nonetheless, I'm Famous will be on the Weaver. Looking up towards Ice Cream City on the Dire, making it out of the losers bracket to this losers bracket final. Going to see if they're going to go up into the grand finals or if it'll be Altered State. Dory the Explorer on this Luna. Until December, actually, who played Lifestealer carry for them the other time, is actually up on that Clockwork. And that leaves Shazamator on the Lina, Marcus on the Shadow Demon, and Funkalicious piloting up that Gyrocopter. So these are not the same players and the same heroes that I expected from the previous games. But I mean, I've only seen one game. It's not like I know these teams intimately to the extent that I could just be like, what are they doing? I mean, a lot of teams rotate their roles around based on the needs, based on the heroes that they're more or less familiar with. And so I'm still intrigued to see what the lanes will be for the teams. And honestly, it could be one of a number of things. It could be a lot of different stuff is all potentially good. I'm going to just quickly set my camera to follow Luna. Did I screw it up? Yeah, there we go. And just give me a second, folks. I'm going to fix a little bit of stuff. Move up. And move up. There we go. All right, we got all the sponsor logos in there. Of course, the Ignite Gaming Lounge has been nice enough to host this event. They're actually hosting another event in about a couple months. I believe the next event is in August. It'll have twice the teams. So if you meant to register and didn't get time to, or you want to check it out, or you want to come to Chicago in August, then Ignite will be sponsoring another one of these events, and it'll be another sort of, I think, 2-day LAN event. So not one day. It'll be spread out over 2 days, but should be exciting, honestly. This event's been pretty crisp, well run. We had the 1v1 challenge in the middle, and we've had some pretty good games, frankly. So, back to the game. Let's look up to see what's happening. Ice cream sandwich? Ice cream. Why is this happening? Ice Cream City are going to go up into the bottom, try to pick themselves up a first blood, or at least plant some wards down, block, of course, these camps, these pulls. I'm Famous looks to be going up to solo safe Weaver so far. At least that's what it looks like. Leading an aggressive try, actually, with Dragon Knight. Rare that we see Dragon Knight as part of an aggressive tri lane, but seems like it's possible here. And Avukamo, meanwhile, gearing up to do that Warlock mid. He looks to have just a few pieces of that Archivist set. Yeah, just the robe of the Archivist, but none of the other pieces. Otherwise, he's running those standard cosmetics. Nothing wrong with that, if you ask me. They don't find the first blood, but they do. They actually don't even plant a ward down. There we go. There's the block. An unusual, very unusual ward spot. This is actually pretty smart. You have to cut the trees to actually see this ward. So they're blocking 1 rather than blocking 2, but the trade-off is it's going to be pretty hard for Altered State to spot this out. They're going to have to be very, very careful about how they do that. I've got a little bit of a shout-out, of course, to Merlini Dota, one of the sponsors. He did lose, I think, to one of these players, or maybe to one of the players in Please Gang Shippy in the solo mid challenge. He won 3, lost 1 as Queen of Pain. Got a little bit greedy there. I don't know if he's on the premises. I think he had to jet, but maybe he'll be back before the grand finals. I'm not totally sure. You'll have to talk to the admins about that. So we do have gearing up for a 1v1 matchup until December on the Clockwork, facing up against I'm Famous on the Weaver. I'm Famous, they didn't pull him anything. This should be a slightly favored lane for Weaver unless the Clockwork gets fast boots and plants him in a Cogs. If that happens, Clockwork gets the kill. It's good that he actually has the Stout Shield to block a little Weaver damage because Weaver certainly will be looking to harass the Clockwork quite a bit. Weaver also has to be careful about whether he casts Shikuchi or not and how he positions. If Clockwork sees that he's taking damage from Shikuchi, he can immediately respond by planting down the Cogs and just putting Weaver in a very, very difficult position. So it's a careful lane, but Weaver, if he plays pretty tight to the vest, he should be able to harass until December quite a bit. You can see that because he's gone this Rocket Flare first and not Cogs first, he has no recourse against this early harassment. You can see that Weaver can do a tremendous amount if the Cogs are enough. He does level it up, he plants the Cogs just to save himself, but I'm Famous is going to look around. This actually could be trouble. This could be first blood. He's going to stay close. Cogs still on an 8-second cooldown. Will he use the second Shuki to chase? No, he doesn't. He's going to heal back, but this is already a Clockwork that's really struggling. Forced to use his healing salve quite early in this lane. Meanwhile, we've got a try versus try situation developing. We've got actually the dewarding done by Novocaine here, so this will both block and deward this sentry. Very, very nice play from them here. But Ice Cream City rolling around. They're going to try to pick off the Rubik, but he's just going to go his egress back off into the other direction. So it comes out here rather than out here. Definitely very smart. It's a try versus try here, basically. It's V-Carbs on the Sand King, the Rubik, and Cien on the Dragon Knight. My concern here is all 3 of these heroes need levels. You want to hit the 6 on Rubik for spell steal. Because if you get something like Eclipse, you can win a fight. You can get the... Oh, actually, trouble. Here's the disruption. Here's another sentry ward planted. Rubik's going to take that Light Strike Array. He does the telekinesis, but he drops it back down. It doesn't manage to stun the Shadow, and he's completely body blocked by the illusions on one more hit. Yes, Lina manages to get it. Shazamato securing the first blood for his Lina here. And that's a very nice little gold boost for Ice Cream City to defend their tri-lane. And that has to give some pause to Altered State. I mean, the Dragon Knight not going to be able to get the levels. The Sand King, who really wants the 6, as well as the Blink Dagger, is going to have some trouble. And meanwhile, in the mid is the good news, right? I mean, they've got 10 denies on this Warlock, really actually dominating Funkalicious in this middle lane. Gyrocopter, I mean, he's just not the strongest mid laner. It's not really a problem of Funkalicious. It's a problem with the fact that Warlock just has a superior auto attack animation. He has better range. He can harass you with Fatal Bonds and Shadow Word. And it becomes very difficult. You can see Gyro 6 for 0, but Warlock 10 for 10. I mean, this Gyro level 3, Warlock actually most of the way through level 4. So the tri lane may be a struggle for Altered State, but I think the other 2 lanes will not be. Weaver 10 for 6 down here. Not the greatest last setting in the world, but you can see the amount of harassment he's been able to put up on until December. Until until December, really is going to have a more and more hard time even approaching the lane. Tranquil's up for Weaver, what I like to think of as the Weaver version of Heart of Tarask. His health pool is so low that Tranquil's actually heals a pretty remarkably large portion of it. Of course, Clockwork, if he's careful, can cancel the Tranquil's heal with an Errant Rocket, so that's something we'll have to watch out for as a dynamic. Also, Weaver, his mana regen not that great unless he gets something like an early Sage's Mask towards either a Basilius or a Medallion. So he doesn't actually have any more for Shukachi, which will make him have to play a little more conservatively in this lane. Meanwhile, Ice Cream City looking to gank up in the middle. Marcus standing here on the high ground. I don't think they've spotted this out. The warding placement from Altered State will not enable them to see this, but they'll see the Shadow Demon now. So the Shadow Demon rotates right into the ward vision. You can see Avukamo immediately responding quite conservatively, walking back into safety, and that's very, very smart. The Tri-Lane, meanwhile, at least they're zoning out the Luna to some extent, but she still has 9 for 3. She's farming just fine. Not really any worse than the Dragon Knight, and she's actually halfway through level 3, so she's doing A-okay. Not ahead of the Dragon Knight per se, but the longer she spends solo, the better shape she'll be. Marcus and Shazamator, meanwhile, not quite sure what they want to do yet. They do smoke up. They're going to try to go through the same ward, but this time with the benefit of smoke. And so Avukamo, even though he's playing conservatively, maybe if he walks up to the lane, he could be in a lot of trouble. But the lane's kind of pushed in. Unfortunately, the smoke gank, you really want to smoke gank when your lane is not pushed this far out, because it's extremely difficult for the heroes to walk up and actually get anything on the Warlock when he's like this. If the lane were around here, if your creep balance is around here, or what some people like to call the creequilibrium, if the creequilibrium is here, it actually becomes extremely easy to gank, because the Warlock has to step all the way to about here, just the last hit. Here we go. They're going to give it a shot. The smoke giving them extra move speed. There's the disruption. That's a key element. The Light Strike are going to get through. Soul Catcher is up, and yes, Warlock dies easily. The upside of having no creeps there is that there's nothing to absorb the Rocket Barrage damage. And a 2-0 lead for Ice Cream City early on in this game. A very nice gank pulled off here in a lane that honestly was lost up until that point. But Gyrocopter now ahead on last hits. He'll get a lot of time without having to lose any XP to the denies. And that's an excellent kill for Ice Cream City. No question about it. Weaver, the main good news right now for Altered State. He has 24 last hits, he's got his Tranquils, going to build up towards whatever his next item might be. Could see something like a Ring of Akala, pretty common in general as a pickup for Weaver. And in the Tri-Lane, they're still not really able to put effective pressure on this Luna. In fact, she's level 5, Dragon Knight's level 4 at this point, and she's last hitting under her tower. I mean, she's super safe here. There's not a lot that Altered State can do to actually peel this Luna away from the safety of her tower. And Senking only being level 3 means that he still has this rank 2 of his Burrow Strike, which the range, frankly, is just not fantastic. It's not good enough for him to be able to effectively chase. So, Avukamo, meanwhile, a little bit chastened by that death, I think, but still doing okay. One death is not the end of the world for Warlock. He does have a haste rune, and he has the Chaotic Offering available, so we may see him try to do rotation. Here's a fight. Cien, he lands the Dragon Tail. He's pretty low, but maybe they can get to the Explorer. Soul Catcher's up to one more hit, and he is down. He might not die. The Light Striker actually misses. Shadow Demon actually getting the last hit there. Marcus managing to clip the Dragon Knight with one more auto attack, but both carries already down. Here comes Avukamo. He uses that haste rune. There's the Chaotic Offering. Will they actually be able to get the Shadow Demon? He looks to be able to chase. The Shadow Word already up. Disruption coming up. There's the Soul Catcher. Marcus trying to respond, but one more auto attack will do the trick. Warlock doing work, securing 2 more kills for the team there. Where is this Chaotic Offering going, Matt? They should probably... Ooh, there's the Burrow Strike. Already Novocaine on the ground with this Rubik, though. And Warlock, he's trapped up top here. One Rocket Barrage will probably do the trick here to the chest, and yes, the Eclipse kind of superfluous, but that's 2 more kills for Ice Cream City. I think Altered State staying in a bit too long there. It'll be free gold as well. Yeah, 100 extra gold for Funkalicious there. Nice rotation from the Gyrocopter, and that'll put Ice Cream City still ahead. Altered State, that was a very effective Warlock rotation, but unfortunately the haste rune ran out. He didn't come out of the trees. He didn't use TP because he didn't have one, and that unfortunately leads to punishment. Ice Cream City taking a 2-kill lead again, even with the Luna dying, comes back, participates in a kill. Now finishes off with his Power Tread, so just a carry approach Luna. We'll have to see if he goes something like Helm of the Dominator and use this extra attack speed to actually farm the Ancients, sorry. Of course, they have a dual Ancient farming potential here with Funkalicious and with Dory the Explorer on Luna. Until December, meanwhile, he has picked up his hook shot. He got a little bit of a reprieve, had some time to level. that hookshot could be a big deal. I mean, you can catch out players with it. Even I'm famous. I mean, this Weaver, if you catch him with a hookshot, he doesn't happen to have time-lapse up, you can definitely do work. And Avukamu, does he realize the amount of trouble he's in right now? Because he is way out in no man's land. Here comes the hookshot, almost certainly. Will they actually use it? I think we're going to see it. The hookshot misses! The rocket brush, here comes the call down. Will they still be able to get Warlock? No, he dodges both elements of the call down. Oh man, Funkalicious could be in a lot of trouble here. Here comes V-Cups to punish. The disruption, the defensive position, I think this costs them. Does no Burrow Strike mana from the Sand King? Oh, Funkalicious is in a lot of trouble here. Oh, can they punish him? I'm Famous has rotated over. He gets the kill. They're still chasing. I don't know if they can catch Marcus here, but that's a great kill for Altered State anyway. Pick off the Funkalicious. He was trying to save money. He instead is forced to just buy phase boots and TP. Nice kill for Altered State. Nice escape for the Warlock, although it must be said, hookshot lands, that's a dead Warlock. He's lucky that the hookshot did not, in fact, land. And that'll leave until December kicking himself for missing that hook. Happens to everybody, my friend. Happens to everybody. Meanwhile, we've got a situation developing here. Disruption, Soulcatcher, lands on Novocaine. He's running north. Actually, this is a very smart direction. Somehow, Dory the Explorer dodges that Burrow Strike. I don't even know how that happened. Weaver's trying to come in. This will be a dead Rubik. I guess they're just trying to pick out Marcus here. Weaver coming. The second hit of the Gemini attack missed due to low ground. Another couple hits, and he's got this. Probably Shadow Demon going down. Yes. And that's a level 3 Shadow Demon. Really struggling to get put the levels up. Sand King, meanwhile, has stopped. I mean, he never died. So he's level 5 with boots. That's actually a big deal. That rank 3 of Burrow Strike is critical to have that extra speed. It's almost as important as level 6, actually. People talk about level 6 on Sand King, but I like to talk about level 5 because he needs that range on Burrow Strike. He also needs mana. Right now, mana's a problem. One concern also is that Warlock's farm is completely flatlined. He had 16 about 4 minutes ago. Now he has 21 last hits. So Warlock really needs that tier 2 boots and then to move up into either Mechanism or directly into the Arcane, into the Agadims. At least they'll get the kill here. Cien providing his team a little bit of farm by picking up that tower last hit. He actually goes Soul Ring just for some extra breathe fires. So that's more laning potential. I think they went that to just dominate the lane, but the lanes have kind of dispersed anyway. So we'll have to see if this Soul Ring actually ends up being useful for him. It does speed up his farming speed in both the neutral area of the jungle as well as the lane. I'm Famous now facing up against Dory the Explorer, so Weaver versus Luna. Weaver looking to be very, very aggressive, still with just his Tranquils. He actually has 2,000 banked. Have to see if he goes for the defensive Lincoln's approach or something more offensive. I really like damage on Weaver. I think Weaver's actually an amazing early mid-game carry if you get the right damage items on him, but he seems to be saving, so we'll have to see if he goes for the super greedy Radiance or something. I'm not sure. 2 save on Weaver. And of course, if he is saving for the Radiance, if he dies, he may try to turn that into something, because of course this is mostly unreliable. 1363 unreliable gold. Luna, meanwhile, just rushing that BKB, and who can blame her, really? Here comes the Warlock. He has the mana for Chaotic Offering if he wants it. Eclipse comes through. Might not need it. A lot of damage from that Eclipse, but they still get the kill. Probably have to use this Chaotic Offering Golem to get the tower to make it worth it, frankly, because just for the 1 kill, not tremendously necessary, not tremendously useful. And I'm Famous has been spending a lot of his time with his team trying to get kills, so that's an advantage that you're not pursuing on that Weaver, who is the highest level on the map. Here comes Call Down. It's going to hit on 1. Until December does trap Avukama successfully. The Golem is still up. They got to send this right into the fray. Fatal Bonds is up. It's doing a tremendous amount, but it looks like Altered State may try to retreat. Cien with very, very low health. Oh, but that Fatal Bonds! That Fatal Bonds is doing tremendous work. A triple kill for I'm Famous. Cien still up, running away from this fight. Oh, goodness, that Fatal Bonds was effective. What rank is that? Rank 3. That ends up securing quite a bit. Actually, Luna from downtown with the Lucent Beam to pick off the Dragon Knights. So, Ice Cream City, not completely lost in that fight, but oh man, that was a big fight for Altered State. The Golem not even doing so much, a couple hits from it, very, very important, but the Weaver managing to clean up by using that Fatal Bonds, just pick everybody off. That's a tremendous amount of gold. 3,200 gold on the Weaver now. Just look at this nest egg compared to everybody else on the map. Look at this net worth now. Most of this is in loose gold. He's not actually using it, but still. Sand King escapes from yet another successful team fight without having died. That is critical. We're talking about a Sand King who is now level 7. He has as much range on Burrow Strike as he's going to get. That is now officially an effective Sand King. The issue is usually that you don't get the levels. He has the levels. Avukama, meanwhile, he does get Tranquils. He died in that fight, but frankly, he died for a good cause. He died for the cause of his team winning the fight. And now, Ice Cream City, I think you see them take a more defensive posture now. Definitely they're going to feel like, wow, we probably really do need BKB on Gyrocopter, BKB on Luna. Now, here's the thing. They can farm quite effectively. Look at how quickly Funkalicious can clear out this stacked jungle camp for him. The supports have done very diligent work. You can see even this easy cap was stacked at least once. So Funkalicious and Dory the Explorer, with their cleaves, with their Moonglaive, with their Flak Cannon, will be able to do quite quick clearing of this jungle to try to get more XP on the board, try to actually catch up at this point. Because I would say Ice Cream City, yeah, fairly behind now. 2k gold, 3k XP. Not by any means fatal, and they still have most of their towers. So while you have your tier 1 tower here, while you have your tier 1, you essentially have control of your own jungle. And so that's what you're going to see Ice Cream City do. They have an ability to clear their jungle quickly that Altered State can't even compare to. So their net worth and their ability to get GPM will climb quite rapidly as long as they're not participating in fights. If I'm Ice Cream City, I want to actually avoid fights at all costs now. Get the Gyrocopter up, get the Luna up, maybe get both of those BKBs before you even think about engaging again. Of course, this does leave Clockwork without anything to do, but, you know, maybe he can hang around, pick up some XP here and there. Let's take a look at the level picture right now. We've got Lena actually picks up her ultimate, so doing good on the levels of supports here. Both Sand King and Lena with their ultimates available. Of course, directly opposite ultimates, you have a massive AoE versus massive Zing. Alright, actually, Funkalicious in a little bit of trouble here. Here comes the Fatal Bonds. There's the Sand King stunning in. The Chaotic Offering comes down. Ice Cream City, I don't think they can afford to fight this. They do pick off the Rubik. Here comes Luna with her Eclipse. Maybe they clip off a combo with the edge of this. Actually, I'm Famous still on a streak, but nonetheless losing 2 heroes already. Sand King still on the field. He's still available to stun again if they want V-Carbs. I'm Famous stunned down by the homing missile right now of the Gyrocopter. They want to pick up this golem for a little bit of extra gold. And you can see Altered State no longer feeling confident in this fight. Very good initiation from Ice Cream City there, actually. Oh, V-Carbs. He has the invisibility run. This is going to be a big Burrow Strike if he lands it. Is he going to land it? He actually does the Epicenter. He doesn't care about the Burrow Strike. He canceled. No, he didn't. He used it. But the Disruption totally screwing that up. Luna's actually dead. Actually, the Epicenter ended up doing almost nothing, but they do kill the Luna. And they're going to pressure more heavily, I think. I'm Famous actually trying to chase. I don't think he can catch up Funkalicious. Maybe he can loop around. Marcus knows what he's doing for here. Marcus actually, no. It looks like the fight is done for now. That was a very even team fight. Maybe just the Lena at the end, picking up the Luna, tipping it slightly in favor of Altered State. But they probably expected more out of that Golem. Not quite that much done. And that's the thing. Warlock only level 9 after going mid. His comparison point is Funkalicious, who's 10 on Gyrocopter. They're going to want to hit that level 2 ultimate for Warlock pronto, because you'll see its effectiveness falling. Oh, this Sentry Ward with mere seconds left on it, 11 seconds on the clock, completely spots out the smoke gank from Cien and his team, and so they may have to just rotate into a tier 1 tower attempt. This tier 1 tower only at 187. They could clear it out very quickly if they so desired. Maybe V-Carbs will do it. They're still trying to gank, but Ice Cream City knows not to go into their jungle right now. They know that there's a smoked team there, and so this smoke gank will actually come to naught. Not able to leverage their advantage into even more advantage. A very kill-heavy game. I mean, 22 kills in 16 minutes, and there's been a lot of positioning for kills. Look how both teams are basically 5-manning. 5-man over here, 5-man over here. As a result, you really don't have people last hitting that much. I mean, even the Weaver, who's at the top of the last hit charts, only 60 last hits in 16 minutes. Oh, we do have a smoke gank coming out from Ice Cream City, so they will try to loop around, do a little bit of pincer motion of their own. But of course, there's no chance that Altered State are down here. They were just up here. They, meanwhile, just pick up a tier 1 tower, and they're probably going to go. Dragonite picking up that drums, trying to get into the effectiveness section, and oh man, Sand King, I missed this item pickup. Blink Dagger complete, skipping past that Arcane Boots. They're going to want some Arcane Boots next, but it's great if you can pick that up so early on Sand King. Oh man, Blink Dagger could be a huge factor. Cien, meanwhile, might get caught out. Here comes the homing missile. There's the Lucent Beam. They're going to try to close. Rocket Barrage already coming out. He's going to have to use his ultimate just to survive. It looks like this cooldown was... Oh, actually, that wasn't that great. The hook shot in lands on basically nothing. The disruption, they'll get the tier 1 tower, but that's about all they'll get, unfortunately. And Shazinator forced to flee from this fight. Oh, there's the Chaotic Offering. They do let in on Funkalicious. The stolen Eclipse from Novocaine. Dory the Explorer really needed to use another spell. The Golem beating on him. Here comes the Epicenter. Maybe he can get the Blink. Oh, the Blink does come in. His Epicenter is already over, but he has the mana to Burrow Strike. No, he doesn't. There's the Disruption just to fend off I'm Famous, but V-Carbs, he's still chasing. He may not have Burrow Strike, but he has the ability to at least spot somebody out. The Bug helping quite a bit. The Battery Assault actually picks up the Bug. Until December, managing to flee very, very effectively. Oh, double with the Cogs, but Cien looping around, pincering and killing the Clockwork. Another great fight for Altered State when taken all together. And Ice Cream City, Ooh, that was unfortunately just the call down landing on nothing, the hook shot on not that much, and unfortunately the Eclipse actually being counterproductive there. They don't get the Eclipse on anything. Good usage of the ultimate just for the extra move speed there from Cien to escape that fight, because otherwise it could be a different story. Dragon Knight at least falls. But instead, Ice Cream City now facing a very daunting prospect indeed. You still have this Gyro substantially underfarmed, not even drums. You still have this Luna trying to make it to her BKB, but still not there. You end up with the Lincoln Sphere for I'm Famous, so apparently he just doesn't want to die at this point. He knows that he's doing well. I mean, he can feel it. 6-0-4. He can feel that he is on his game. He can feel that he is running this shit. And as a result, maybe he feels, I don't need more damage. I just need them to not pick me off. And so Lincoln's definitely helps with that. Now, the downside of Weaver Lincoln's, and I feel like I'm a broken record when I mention this, but it's pretty important to remember, is Weaver Lincoln's is immediately removed if they so much as breathe a homing missile at you. So against Gyrocopter in particular, I really don't feel that the Weaver Lincoln's is that hot shit. But, you know, it can still be useful if the Gyrocopter uses homing missile on somebody else or, you know, all the other cases. A little bit of a stacked Ancient Camp here. They won't get the next stack because, of course, it's not the right time for it. But I would expect Ice Cream City to really just double up on their aggressive jungle stacking. They absolutely need Dory the Explorer and Funkalicious to catch the net worth of the Weaver and the Dragon Knight. Right now, they're really lagging. I mean, even V-Carbs on the Sand King, who, by the way, still hasn't died. I feel like I mentioned this like 10 times. He is ahead of Gyrocopter on net worth. That can't happen. Gyrocopter absolutely needs to catch up there. They don't actually get the stack, unfortunately. They missed the stack by maybe by an inch or so. Medallion of Courage picked up by the Warlock, so I suspect this means that we'll see a Roshan from Altered State fairly soon. Not that Medallion is a bad item, I actually think it's amazing, but usually it signals the team's intent to Roshan when it's on a hero like this. Meanwhile, Ice Cream City, we talked about how they need to... This is the thing. Somebody mentioned this in Twitch chat as well if you've been reading it, but the big difference with Flat Cannon now, it's still effective in team fights, but Ancient stacking, it is so much slower with the 30-second Flat Cannon versus the 20-second. I mean, it's 50% slower, right? And that's a lot slower. That is an avenue through which farming up your Gyrocopter becomes much harder. Luna, on the other hand, no such qualms. No cooldown on her AoE. Interesting, though. There is no Town Portal Scroll up on Dory the Explorer. So if Altered State find themselves pulled into a fight, it may be trouble for them to actually win it without the presence of Luna there. So that's pretty tough. Meanwhile, you can see Cien just on his Dragon Knight using that level 2 Elder Dragon. Of course, in 6.78, this became, you can actually do your damage over time from your level 1 ultimate form, even in your level 2. Meanwhile, I'm Famous looks to just get this tower for free. No, he takes it to just outside of deny range. It actually might be smart for Until December to let these creeps go and hit the tower so that they can get the deny. No, never mind. Here comes the fight. Marcus taking a tremendous amount of damage from Cien already. Here comes the chaotic offering. Dory the Explorer, he got the TP scroll, and it didn't matter. He doesn't even get the Eclipse off. He's immediately repelled. What a quick damage. Meanwhile, Funkalicious in the back. Getting just a double kill. Excellently placed call down. 2 for 3 so far. Cien and V-Carbs. Oh, but here's the pincer motion from Funkalicious. He doesn't have any defensive capabilities. He doesn't have his BKB. He doesn't have armor. Oh, I'm Famous continues. There's the Burrow Strike. Here comes the hook shot from Until December. That's a nice hook shot, but not enough. The Breathe Fire will get the last hit. Oh, Until December. He is locked in with this Golem. It's far too much damage for him. Warlock getting the last hit there as the Golem picks it off, and 4 for 2. Altered State, they are not assailable in these team fights right now, and they damn well know it. The mid tower picked up. The bottom tower soon to follow. Too much damage, and the big problem was Luna not even able to use her Black King bar, not even able to Eclipse. Luna did nothing in that fight, and that just goes Altered State completely on the ball as far as controlling that fight, as far as launching into the Luna and just taking her down very, very quickly. That'll be the tier 2 tower, continuing to secure. Dragon Knight with really nothing special in the way of farm. Looks like he'll probably go BKB as well, and this is really a plan to lock Luna out. I mean, the less that the Eclipse can do, the better shape you're in, basically, because the Gyrocopter, still nothing to worry about if you're Altered State. Only 95 plus 27, so about 130, 125 damage that he's dealing out with his auto attacks. You can just see I'm Famous, how confident he feels against this Gyrocopter. Just, yeah, I'll fight you. You do see his Lincolns drop off with the homing missile, by the way, so just make a note of that, because it might be important later, but nonetheless, he's dominating these level charts. Level 14, just a bit ahead of where Funkalicious are. The XP actually not looking that bad for Ice Cream City's cores, especially because they have been clearing out these jungle creeps. The XP disparity comes in the supports. Level 7, Lina, level 6, Shadow Demon. Now, it's not the end of the world. As long as your Lina's above 6, so she has Laguna Blade, she has a decent portion of her usefulness, but you would love this Lina to have more levels, frankly. Even one level of Fiery Soul would give her more escapability and a little more damage, and of course Dragon Slave, you want to max that out if you can. Shadow Demon, it's okay for him to be level 6 forever, frankly. Not ideal, but it's okay. It's not right, but it's okay. But Clockwork, I mean, Clockwork to be effective really wants level parity with the people that he's trapped with. And right now he doesn't. Right now Clockwork, for instance, let's say he catches the Dragon Knight out. He's facing a level 4, a 4 level deficit, and the Clockwork has 5 armor. Dragon Knight has 20. How does Clockwork win that duel? I mean, he doesn't. He expects his fellow heroes to help him. But the issue being, there's very few heroes that Clockwork can jump on that are going to be easy to kill. I mean, this Sand King pick has just been working amazingly for Altered State. V-Carbs, level 11, now with his level 2 Epicenter, can just frankly blow Altered State out of the water. The GPM of this Sand King is nothing to sneeze at, 270. He has more GPM than both of the supports of the opposing team combined, frankly. And that's saying nothing to the fact that Rubik has gotten a little bit of decent gold as well, mostly through participation in these kills. He's got his Arcane Boots. If he wants Blink Dagger, he'll have it in about 950. If he feels that he's about to die, he can forego the Blink Dagger and build part of a Force Staff instead. Almost as good if you're Rubik, frankly. You'll be perfectly happy to pick that up. And it looks to go in again. I'm famous. If the more they can steal of this jungle, the less Ice Cream City has to work with. The more Ice Cream City will have to focus on alternative approaches. They can't get the farm advantage that they want. That's the idea. I mean, Gyrocopter, Luna, these cleavers, they can get so much of a farm advantage, and right now you don't see it. Gyrocopter's farm only comparable to Dragon Knight's. It's just pure creep farm. Luna's farm, not really that impressive compared to Weaver's, and that's very problematic if you're the farming team, if you're the team that seeks to outfarm. Luna's net worth, I mean, it's struggling to keep up with where Weaver is at. She does have the BKB. I mean, this is a team fight item. It's not a farming item. She doesn't have that Helm of the Dominator. Neither of these characters have Helm of the Dominator because they feel the need, absolutely correctly, to try to rush for that BKB. And the flip side of that, of course, you have difficulty actually doing anything but team fighting. And in the team fights, Altered State have proven themselves time and again just dominant. There's the Lincolns popped once again. This Lincoln's just, other than stats, it's doing almost nothing for I'm Famous. Now, luckily, he's had a fantastic game even without it. Building now towards what looks to be an MKB with this Demon Edge. Until December, he wants the hook shot. He doesn't want it on Weaver, because what's the point, really? He could time-lapse this out, but if he can get somebody else, if they can get a great hookshot initiation, there's the lift. This fight might be starting. Funkalicious already stunned. Here comes the Epicenter, dealing a little bit of damage. Dora the Explorer still up, manages to get a kill, but he's so low. Cien already with a double kill. He finished his BKB, making it very intimidating. They drop 2, but it's just the supports. Here comes I Am Famous to continue chasing. The drums used. It looks like Funkalicious is going to make it there, but Marcus is stunned. Cien just beating down on him. Shadow Demon will take a fall. I Am Famous with 2 kills, and again, Ice Cream City finds themselves on the ground in exchange for a couple supports. Sand King finally dying, but this is a pretty late time for him to pick up his first death of the game. Ice Cream City, a noble attempt. They used their BKB, but just the responsive BKB from Dragon Knight prevented him from going down. He was all over the place. That level 2 Dragon form, damage over time, and AoE. Too much AoE being thrown out from Altered State for Ice Cream City to be able to deal with at this time. Gyrocopter makes it out alive. That's a critical person to keep alive. He needs his BKB, but just in general, Ice Cream City really struggling to deal with the combination of Fatal Bonds with the massive damage that Altered State can deal. As long as that Fatal Bonds comes down, Ice Cream City finds themselves in just a world of pain, and they really don't have a way to deal with it. They don't have that much in the way of stuns. The main thing is going to be the Shadow Demon Lina chain. They have to chain down the Warlock. In my opinion, Warlock the most important hero to take out, not Weaver, not Dragon Knight. You need to stun that Warlock from 100 to 0 so that Fatal Bonds doesn't come down. Chaotic Offering is strong, but in this case Fatal Bonds is actually even stronger. Ice Cream City, farming, getting ready for the next engagement. We could see Altered State try to take a Roshan. I actually expect them to. They've had this Medallion for forever and a day. Medallion syncs extremely well with Weaver, but I would love to just see it. By the way, Oblivion Staff for Warlock. I'm not sure if this is Orchid or Refresher, but I think it may be Refresher, because that would just... I feel like Refresher lets them seal the deal on this game in a way that Orchid doesn't. But yeah, they don't quite feel as confident actually going for the Roshan just yet. You see did a little... They dipped their toes in the water, but they didn't dive into the pool. Altered State doesn't want to give ICC a door from which Ice Cream City is going to be able to get their way back into this game. And if you go for Roshan without knowing whether the other team knows, yeah, alright, they might smoke in, but Dragon Knight is not smoked, so... Maybe trying to pincer, try to get a favorable team fight, checking the Ancients. In case ICC were trying to farm that Ancients, they would have been punished heavily. Uh-oh, Dora the Explorer, where's the BKB, man? No, BKB up from there it goes. He is going to do his Eclipse. They're going to turn this around. Quite a bit of damage getting thrown on I'm Famous. Cien actually in his BKB form. Here's V-Carbs on the high ground. Epicenter comes through. He is doing a tremendous quantity of damage to this team. Godlike streak for I'm Famous. Probably picking up Marcus here. Yes, he does. Marcus not making it to the high ground. Now Weaver is diving past the tier 3. This is supremely confident, but they've taken out 3 already. ICC may be thinking that they could turn that around, and once again, unfortunately, they were wrong. Altered State doing too much damage. Once again with the excellent continued initiation. The Golems, not in that fight. They didn't have the Chaotic Offering, but the Epicenter time and again. The Blinks, the positioning from Sand King, the BKB from Dragon Knight. Just the BKB Dragon Knight is something that ICC haven't been able to deal with at all. Their damage is still so tilted towards Eclipse and Gyrocopter that they just can't kill him. I mean, they can't kill the Dragon Knight when he's BKB form, and they can't kill the Weaver because they can't find the freaking Weaver. Most likely an Aegis for Dragon Knight, I would expect. I mean, they could put it on I'm Famous. Just because he hasn't died doesn't mean he can't die. And actually... Altered State, still so careful. They understand that Clockwork can hook in and steal that Aegis, and that would be a big loss. So they want to be as careful as possible. Here comes Funkalicious now. He doesn't have Call Down. He already used it. He's on the low ground. This is actually pretty interesting here. Can he go cut out? Here's the Blink from Sand King. I'm Famous is here. They're going to try to oppress Funkalicious. He's very, very low. One more hit. Yes, they get it on him. V-Carb's fairly low, trying to escape his way out of this fight. Shazinator finds the last hit. There's the Chaotic Offering, not used in the last fight. Dora the Explorer unable to stand up against this. It's too much damage. Warlock is just too damn strong if he stays up. They were not able to bring the Warlock down. They weren't even focusing the Warlock. Luna with a buyback, maybe as a last-ditch effort. Dragon Knight walks away from this fight with the Aegis. Meanwhile, I'm Famous. He just continues to chase. He wants to do pure intimidation tactics until December, using a defensive cogs, trying to get away. There's the belated Blink Dagger for the Rubik and Altered State. They are eking out a tremendous advantage just by making sure that they win every fight. And that is exactly what they're doing, folks. They are winning every fight at this point. If the earlier fights were a push, these have not been. Look how the GPM of Luna and Gyrocopter is just stagnated, while Weaver and Dragon Knight are able to continue to get an advantage. They're just earning their way into this game. They are pressuring ICC, and think about 20 minutes ago and how possibly either way this game was tilting, and then just look at this. 5 towers still available, only the tier 1 mid tower missing for Altered State. Ice Cream City, I feel comfortable saying that in the last 15 minutes, not a single member of ICC has even gone past the river. This entire area is just completely free for Altered State. And they can make incursions like this one. Here comes I'm Famous with the DD rune. Just look at how much damage Funkalicious takes. He has to drum Steve and get us. Will he even manage to? Oh my god, this is terrifying. Will the bug eat him? I'm Famous, he clearly wants this last hit. Yeah, he'll get it. Oh my lord. 13, 0, and 9 for this Weaver. Like I said, Weaver, he needs to have a pretty good early game, and, yep. That's what this is. Sand King now with the Ring of Health. What the hell is he going? Maybe a refresher for this guy too? I don't know. Warlock, meanwhile, he does end up going for the Orchid, so just that silence. It could be quite effective. Shadow Demon Lina, it's so critical for these guys to chain up their stuns that if you silence the Shadow Demon, that's basically a dead Shadow Demon, and that's basically no crowd control coming in on your end. You can even silence Luna to make sure she doesn't eclipse. There's a lot of work that they can do with this. Cien, now with this level 3 ultimate, nice disruption from the high ground, actually. This will generate 2 Dragon Knight illusions. Unfortunately, they'll die quite quickly. Is this max level disruption? It's not, it's not, it's not. So, unfortunately, it's not the duration, not the extra damage from those illusions. They could keep generating them. It's a good idea to generate illusions of this level 3 Dragon Knight because they get the AoE. They are able to...
Radiant's top tower is under
They are able to AoE the opposing team just as effectively as you are. But this Dragon Knight, I mean, Cien has gone from a very slow start. I mean, he had a difficult time in that early try versus try, to terrifying. I mean, he's got the AoE from the Maelstrom, the AoE from the Frost Dragon, BKB, Lifesteal from the Helm of the Dominator. There's actually Rubik with the Stolen Hookshot, not quite landing. The Dragon Knight illusions generated once again. They're doing very reasonable damage to Cien, actually. He has to be careful. He might lose the Aegis here. Unfortunately, after Aegis, he still has... he's getting the BKB. He's still up. The Eclipse comes out. The the stolen Eclipse from Novocaine. He gets picked off in the middle, but Funkalicious on the ground, Luna on the ground until December, trying to finally get a kill on Amphibious, but they can't. There's no tower for vision in the Chaotic Offering. This might be the last wipe of Ice Cream City in this game. Just too much AoE damage being thrown out in the end. Too hard to kill a 26 armor Dragon Knight with Aegis. They spent so much of what they had, and the Eclipse Steel the Eclipse Steel for the added insult to injury. That might be the death blow for ICC. V-Carbs, I gotta shout out this Sand King. This was an absolutely fantastic performance. Sand King, sometimes a limited support just in terms of needing levels, but the careful, patient play, and every Burrow Strike just landing where it counted. Altered State, they haven't quite pushed out for the GG yet, but they're very, very close. I see Ice Cream City a little bit on their death throes at the moment. This Luna still struggling at Black King Bar Yasha treads. You do not want your Luna to be at only 8,500 net worth at 33 minutes. It's not hopeless. They can still win a team fight, but for one thing, it has to be all in at this point. You've got 100 seconds until this Warlock brings his Chaotic Offering up. He went for the Orchid instead of the Refresher, so you know that he doesn't have it. That means that you absolutely positively, at least in my opinion, need to push out his 5 and try to make something happen in the interim between these Chaotic Offerings. I don't think they've won a single fight where they haven't managed to actually be able to win when the Chaotic Offering is in play. And so the thought here, for me at least, for ICC is, hey, we got the Aegis. We got the cooldown of the Chaotic Offering. Let's try to make something happen. Let's maybe smoke. Go for one of those complexity smoke ganks. Go for a little bit of a desperation play and try to eke your way back into this game. Hood now up for Sand King. My god, the amount of effort they've gone to. Oh, jam up for Warlock. I like this too. Clear out those wards. Make Ice Cream City completely unable to have vision. Their vision is actually great. I mean, 3 defensive wards. They actually know where Novocaine and I'm Famous are. They need to go, in my opinion. Go, go, go. Try to get the kill. Try to get the hook shot. Can they land a hook shot on Rubik, for instance? Can they do it? No. Unfortunately, the returning Hellbears, I think, blocked the angle for the hookshot there, so until December decided fairly wisely not to use it. And they're just still in a defensive posture, and the plus side of this is maybe it'll give Gyrocopter the time to generate his BKB. I think it's being delivered, yes. This is a more survivable Gyrocopter at the cost of the fact that Gyrocopter is still not going to do fantastic damage. I mean, just look at where his net worth is. It's really stagnated. It's behind where Sand King and Warlock are, and so Weaver now building towards Heart. This is something we've seen more and more on Weaver. Just, he's a hero whose fundamental problem is that if he's not able to use his Shukachi in time-lapse to survive, he has no backup plan. He has no HP. But now with the Reaver, just look at this. 2,000 already. He's going to pick up that Vitality Booster. Oh my god. He's delivering it. He's done with Heart. Wow, that's a fat Weaver. 2635 now for this Weaver. If he Shukuchi's away from a fight, he can come right back into the fight once this Heart of Tarrasque regen comes back up. And this is going to be an even more difficult fight for ICC than the last one. So we are going to have to see some preternatural skill coming out from Ice Cream City. I have faith in them. I mean, I think they can do it, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be more than an uphill battle. It's going to be, well, technically it'll be a downhill battle, but it'll be uphill in all the ways that count. Here's I'm Famous. He wants to dive. I mean, this is the thing. He can dive in, land a couple last hits, and leave, and regen all of that back up with the Heart of Tarrasque. He's carrying a gem as well, so nobody's going to escape from this guy. Until December, he wants to land a hook shot. Maybe he actually wants to fight on the low ground. Maybe he wants a favorable position here. Novocaine still doesn't have a steal. Here comes Cien. He actually will BKB in just a second. He's got that Mjolnir. He can put up the shield on himself. There's the shield. BKB used pretty early on during the Explorer. Actually, BKB is already up. So this is a lost BKB charge. He's down to 5 seconds on this BKB. Of course, got it very early. Now, meanwhile, Dragon Knight, his ultimate's ticking down, but here we go. There's the pipe. Sand King finished it just now. They are using this 20k gold advantage for everything it's worth. Upheaval on the high ground. Here comes Novocaine. Blinks forward. Lifts up Funkalicious. There's the BKB. Cien actually taking a tremendous amount of damage. He didn't get to BKB. Oh, but there's the epicenter. V-Carbs doing a tremendous and insane amount of damage. The Chaotic Offering almost superfluous. And 3 for 3, actually. Nice work done there by ICC to at least steal some damage. I'm Famous dueling until December. He's so low, but no, they can't quite get him. Can they get him? Dory the Explorer, one more last hit. Yes, they managed to trade. Ice Cream City, they did enough. They did enough with the Eclipse. They did enough with the Gyrocopter called down on the Flak Cannon. They managed to do it. The Cogs, nice mispositioning, a successful defense, even with Weaver, even with Sand King dealing a tremendous and insane amount of damage. They somehow do it. Ice Cream City successfully defending their high ground. I said it would take a preternatural display of skill, and I mean, frankly, they did extremely well for themselves there. That's absolutely the best thing you can hope for in that situation is to actually survive, is to stay there and to kill the Weaver. Buyback used, but only on one hero, Dory the Explorer. He did buy back, but frankly, he earned a lot of that buyback gold back, and he just did that by managing to pick off the Weaver. This was a level, God, a 22 Weaver. Look at these levels. That takes Luna up to the second level. She was not the second on XP before that fight. What an important... It's hard to overstate how important that fight was for ICC. And these fights are just getting bloodier and bloodier. Now 61 kills at 37 minutes, folks. In this game, it seemed like ICC were on the point of being closed out, but they showed off just how much damage they can deal. Do not underestimate these two cores and their ability to deal AoE damage. Flak Cannon plus Moonglaive is a tremendous amount of damage, and they have answered the Eclipse. I mentioned earlier, Altered State using a tremendous amount of gold to deal with the Eclipse, but what they haven't really dealt with is the possible physical damage. They've got this heart, and that goes a long way, but they don't really have armor. You see now Dragon Knight, he's going to go for that Assault Cuirass, and I think that's actually an important pickup because of that armor factor. They need more armor. I would actually love if one of the supports, because of course they are pretty flush with gold, if they could pick up Vlad's, like if they could pick up Vlad's on Sand King, for instance, that's, now that it stacks with the Assault Cuirass, will give them a tremendous amount of extra survivability, which will be very, very useful against this Gyrocopter as it becomes scarier, against this Luna as she becomes scarier. She's almost done with her Manta style. I mean, both of those Manta illusions do get the Moonglaive's Cleave. You can see Altered State, they still are in a defensive position. This is absolutely the right tack to take. The question for them, in my opinion, is, are they holding a smoke? The question is, do we sneak Roche? Roche will be up in 30 seconds. Actually, you can see right there with the handy-dandy little new feature of the Spectator Indicator respawn. There's the smoke. I think this is probably... Okay, they're going to loop around. They handily drew on the map for me. If they can win this pincer teamfight, this is a tricky teamfight. V-Carbs, he spots out Dory. Dory actually is desmoked already. This is an incredibly delicate position. Who will get split up by whom? Who is actually going to be the initiator in this? Shazinator, there comes... They've locked two in. V-Carbs and Novocaine locked in with the Rubik. V-Carbs gets out. He's cogs down. Novocaine on the ground. There's the Laguna Blade. There actually is the Eclipse as well. Sand King having a little bit of trouble. He doesn't get much in the way of the epicenter, but the Chaotic Offering is on the ground. Funkalicious already taking a tremendous amount of damage. 3 on the ground, 4 on the ground. Funkalicious will go, and no, they didn't get what they needed, the for Altered State to be able to succeed, and they GG out. They understood that that was their last chance. An incredibly powerful performance by them on defense, but in the end, not quite enough to make up what was, by that point, a good 25k gold advantage. And Altered State, they close it out. They managed to pick up this victory, and that will take them right back to where they were a moment ago. They faced off against Please Gang Shibby in the winner's bracket final. They did lose that game, but here we're going to see them right back into the grand finals. Now, the way that this grand final is going to work is, folks, is it's a best of 3 followed by an optional best of 1. The way that it works is, because Please Gang Shibby came out of the winner's bracket, they basically get a bye of sorts. If they lose the best of 3 to Altered State, there will be a best of 1 to determine the winner. If Please Gank Shibby win the best of 3, they win the entire tournament. And I frankly, I think this is a great tournament setup. I applaud the people at Ignite for figuring this out, because it's sort of like how it works in the fighting game community, and frankly, I think it balances the interest of the winner's bracket winner with hype. Because sometimes you have a winner's bracket getting a game advantage. I actually hate that because I feel it's really, really anti-hype. But you need to give them some advantage for the fact that they came out of the winner's bracket. So, in the end, Altered State, they go up into the grand final. We'll check that out in just a minute. Thank you so much for watching, folks. We really appreciate it. This is the Chicago Dota 2 Open, sponsored by SteelSeries and Merlini Dota, held at the Ignite Gaming Lounge here in Chicago. A fantastic tournament so far. We've seen some great games. We're going to go up into the grand finals in just a minute.